7 psychological tricks that make people obsessed with you. She walked into the room, and every conversation shifted toward her, not because she was the loudest, not because she demanded attention, but because everyone felt like they mattered more when she was around. And the strangest part? She wasn't faking it. She didn't follow some manipulation manual. She simply knew something most people spend their entire lives never learning. That obsession isn't created by what you say about yourself. It's created by what you make others feel about themselves. But here's the disturbing truth no one talks about. Once you understand how this works, you realize how many people in your life have been doing it to you, without you ever noticing. Her name was Mara, 28, worked in marketing, average life, average appearance, nothing that would make you look twice. But if you spent 10 minutes with her, something shifted. You started wanting to see her again, text her, hear her opinion, be near her. People called her magnetic. She called it survival. Because Mara grew up invisible, middle child, divorced parents who were too distracted to notice her, teachers who forgot her name, friends who made plans without her. For years, she believed the problem was her, that she simply wasn't interesting enough, wasn't pretty enough, wasn't worth remembering. So she tried everything, changed her hair, her style, tried being funnier, louder, bolder. Nothing worked. And then one night, at a party she almost didn't attend, she met a man who changed everything. Not because he liked her, but because he made her feel like the only person in the room. And when he left without asking for her number, she realized something. She didn't even know his name, but she couldn't stop thinking about him. Weeks passed. Mara kept replaying that conversation. What did he do? He didn't compliment her, didn't try to impress her, didn't talk about himself much at all. He just listened, asked questions no one ever asked, remembered details she didn't think mattered, made her feel seen in a way that felt almost dangerous. And that's when it hit her. The reason people forgot her wasn't because she was boring. It was because when she was around them, they felt boring. She had spent years trying to be interesting, when what people actually crave is to feel interesting themselves. So she started experimenting. At work, instead of pitching ideas loudly, she'd ask her boss questions that made him feel brilliant. She stopped posting about her own life on social media and started deeply engaging with others. She learned names, remembered birthdays, noticed the small things people mentioned once and never brought up again. And slowly, something strange began to happen. People started seeking her out, wanting her approval, feeling uneasy when she went quiet. She had become the center without ever demanding it. What Mara had stumbled upon wasn't kindness. It was psychology. Human beings are hardwired with a deep need to feel significant. Not just liked, significant. Every person you meet is walking around with an invisible question. Do I matter? Most people answer that question by talking about themselves, trying to prove their value. But Mara learned to do the opposite. She made others feel like they were proving their value to her, not through judgment, but through attention. When you make someone feel truly seen, something primal happens in their brain. They associate that rare feeling with you. And because most people go through life feeling misunderstood, overlooked, or dismissed, the person who makes them feel otherwise becomes addictive. It's not manipulation. It's filling a void most people don't even know they have. Mara had figured out that obsession isn't about being unforgettable. It's about making others feel unforgettable when they're with you. But there was a darker side Mara didn't see coming. The more people became attached to her, the more she realized she had power. And power, even the quiet kind, changes you. She started testing it, withholding attention to see who would chase, giving just enough to keep people hooked, but never fully letting them in. She noticed that the less available she became, the more obsessed people grew. Her friends started competing for her time. Her co-workers felt anxious when she didn't respond. Even her own family seemed to need her validation more than before. And Mara liked it. Because for the first time in her life, She wasn't invisible, but she also wasn't real anymore. Every conversation became a strategy. Every smile calculated. She had become so good at making people feel seen that she forgot what it felt like to be seen herself. And the most disturbing part? She didn't even know if the person she was now was actually her, or just a reflection of what everyone needed her to be. Then one evening, Mara met someone who didn't react the way others did. His name was Eric. Quiet, observant. When she used her usual techniques, asking questions, remembering details, making him feel important, he just smiled. Not in a charmed way, in a knowing way. After a long pause, he said something that made her stomach drop. "You're very good at this." She laughed it off. "Good at what?" "At making people think you care." She felt her mask crack. "I do care." He looked at her for a long moment. "Maybe. But I think you care more about being needed than actually knowing anyone." And just like that, the man who had taught her this game without knowing it had returned. Not literally, but the feeling. That same unsettling recognition. Because Eric had just done to her what she'd been doing to everyone else, he made her feel seen. But not in the way she wanted. He saw through her. That night, Mara sat alone in her apartment and did something she hadn't done in years. She stopped performing. She stopped calculating. She asked herself a question she'd been avoiding. If no one was watching, who would I actually be? And the answer terrified her. She didn't know, because she had spent so long studying others, reflecting their desires back to them, that she had erased herself in the process. The techniques worked. People were obsessed. But they weren't obsessed with her. They were obsessed with how she made them feel. And that distinction, small as it seemed, was everything. The next day, she called Eric. Not with a strategy. Not with a script. Just honestly. "I don't know how to do this without pretending," she admitted. He didn't fix her. Didn't reassure her. He just said, "Then stop pretending. And see who stays." It wasn't a happy ending. Some people did leave, the ones who only loved the mirror she held up. But the ones who stayed, those relationships felt different, harder, more real. And for the first time, Mara wasn't obsessed with being needed. She just wanted to be known. Here's the truth about making people obsessed with you. It works. You can learn the patterns. Master the eye contact. Ask the right questions. Withhold attention at the right moments. Make people feel significant, rare, seen. And they will become attached. But here's the part no one tells you. Once you become that person, you'll spend the rest of your life wondering if anyone actually loves you, or just the way you make them feel about themselves. Because obsession isn't connection, it's dependency. And dependency isn't love. It's fear of losing a feeling. The most dangerous thing you can do isn't fail to make people obsessed. It's succeed, and then realize you've disappeared in the process. If this made you question something about your own relationships, subscribe. Because the most terrifying mirror isn't the one that shows how others see you. It's the one that shows who you become when you're too afraid to be forgotten.